We're getting that quite a lot. While you were talking, I was thinking about the changes between wave one and wave two, just in the way that we are, as a country, each country is able to handle the wave two so much better, even though they're in some countries now peaking above wave one. Um, the hospitalization is still serious and dramatic, but the death rate is lower. We as humans are learning to deal with
Obviously, that's
the emotional part of it, but most importantly, the physical part of it, of keeping people safer. And, if you look at some of the other great plagues and illnesses over the years, in recent times, HIV was going to be the killer of our society, and in fact was organized. Everybody talks about where we're going with vaccines, and again, we talked about politics earlier on. There's something that's been politicized a lot, but there will be medicines, vaccines, treatments, etc., and we will get much closer to normal. Already, you and I were talking earlier about drop zones and things. Some of the drop zones are, where people are beginning to feel safe. I do a lot of work with the wing walking people, and they're having huge success at the moment with their come do a wing walk on an old biplane. And their numbers are exactly the same as last year, although they started much later. But since then, their numbers are the same. The skydiving, the same amount of skydivers and tandem passengers are coming on the example you were giving me earlier. And that we're seeing a lot of that in tunnels as well. Some of the tunnels are really successful. People, certainly in different communities and countries, have a different view to it. But for the amount of time that we can make our tunnel available, having changed the size of classes and things that we can do, we've still got that demand that we can fill it. So now we have to become better and more efficient at how we fill that. And, if this was to go on for the foreseeable future, if we thought this was 2 to 3 years, we'd probably start doing a little bit of building work in our building to make them almost like one-way buildings. And you'd probably do some different things. And there's still much that we can do. But the main thing is that we have to be really versatile and able to flick things very quickly. Announcements come so thick and fast. And then learning, again, off the other tunnels, what did you do when that happened to you? Having that ready to go. So I will often write to my guys and say, by the way, I noticed this. Have you all got your answer, your version, your answer to this? But the mere fact that we know it in one, we can put it ready in 30, 40, whatever.
And maybe in that context, also worth pointing out, there seems to be, or at least certain people claim, like you pretty much confront that, right? A slight shift in behavioral patterns of consumers. I mean, they are receptive for more things right now after coming out of a 3-month lockdown. There is no doubt that psychologically that affects them, that their outlook changes on everything. At the same time, what's also changing is their working habits. I mean, they're not necessarily working in the major cities anymore. They're working at home office, closer to maybe leisure that's available. So all of this will have to be addressed. It will have a certain influence on the evolution of the industry.
There is a big difference. We live with things that kill. Mm-hmm. We live with cancer. We live with road traffic accidents, and some of those things are a fact of life, and other, the sort of illnesses that get us all during our lifetimes. But also, road traffic accidents, etc. We know the dangers of driving, but we still go and do it. And we know the risks involved. The big difference is we have a little bit more of a responsibility. Of course, we have a responsibility when we're driving to drive responsibility, but now we have a much, much bigger responsibility as individuals not to be putting other people into jeopardy, into any kind of danger and risk. And that's the big difference. And that to me is the difficulties when people don't take that personal responsibility to help others stay safe. That's the big one for me. So Melbourne's closed, and we, they're going through their lockdown, which has been a bit longer and later than other people's, and I think they'll be due to open in the not too distant future. The Australians are very strong on, like the Kiwis, in making sure that people are safe. They both own an island, and they're very smart about what they're doing. I mean, Melbourne wasn't actually, which is why they have the trouble, but as countries, they're smart in containing their own. So New Zealand was good because the international tourism just died, and domestic tourism has done very well for us. And in fact, they did better in June and July than they'd done in their previous years. So we had a fantastic success there. The team have been really good. The big thing for me is where this is going to go. And, right now, most governments are into their second phase, at least, of fiscal measures to help, whether it's paying you to go out and eat, reducing the VAT, GST, whatever you want to call it, furlough, some form of subsidy or payment for keeping people in, whatever it might be. And at the end of the day, someone's going to have to pay for this. And we all know who's going to pay for this. We're going to pay for this. Of course, we're going to pay for it through company taxes. We're going to pay through individual taxes, whatever those taxes might be, whether it's an increase in the GSTs, VATs of this world, TVAs, whether it's an increase in personal tax, whatever, that we're all going to pay for it, which means there's going to be less disposable income, which means that businesses like ours are going to suffer. But so too are all the other businesses of disposable income, from cars to homes to DIY to holidays, etc. And normally it's the big things that go. And in the first recession, the big recession of 2008, all the big things went, and the staycation got invented. Terrible word, but we all know what it means. That got invented, and we did really, really well in that period as wind tunnels, because families were having treats, and they were coming to indoor skydiving, and they were coming to iFLY or air kicks as we were, and things. And we did really well in that period. And we've seen elements of that coming back to a certain extent. But long term, we are going to have to fix our businesses so that they are sustainable for potentially lower income, and that we are going to be able to run the businesses, keep our staff employed, as well as all the other things that we now have to do, and keep people safe and clean, and extra laundry and more cleaning and this, that, and the other. So I think, as I look into the next 2 or 3 years, there's going to be payback time, and all of us are going to be hit. Just think about how many of our customers are going to be made redundant fairly shortly as all these schemes start ending. Yeah. We know that's when furlough ends. All of a sudden, there's going to be a lot of redundancy, and those are our customers. And we, even in their new economic situation, we need to find a way of keeping them flying, which is still economical for us and affordable for them. So those are some of our big challenges.